John was sent from God. He came for testimony, to testify to the light. And we are invited to do the same. It seems to me as we prepare for the nativity, the birth of Jesus Christ, our Savior, that we ourselves need to stay focused on the meaning of Christmas. As we advance through this time of Advent, and as we know that the day is approaching very quickly when we will celebrate the birth of Christ, we need to know and to be given a direction so that we can be those people that Jesus wants us to be. I think very often it's more difficult in the time of Advent and Christmas than it is in the time of Lent and Easter to stay focused on what we really are here to celebrate. We know that Jesus is the light that scatters the darkness. The Advent wreath and its candles are to remind us that as the earth grows dark and cold, as we approach the winter solstice, that even though the earth continues to tilt away from the sun, we are reminded that Jesus is born in time for our celebration. In the dark night, in the coldest time of the year, Jesus Christ is born to shatter the darkness. And truly, and this might sound a little trite, but truly Jesus is the reason for the season. He is the one who we celebrate. And I think that sometimes in our culture, we could be more focused upon the food we're going to eat or the gifts we may exchange, and sometimes miss an opportunity to testify that Jesus is the light. He is the one who God has given us to be the light for the world. And are we willing to give witness to that? We have been reading from Mark's Gospel, and even last weekend in Mark's Gospel, which begins with the ministry of John the Baptist, we heard a very similar message of preparing the way for the Lord. Now we turn to John's Gospel with a very similar message, but what is added in John's Gospel is this notion that John is the one who gives witness, who gives a testimony that Jesus is the one who is to come. He is the Christ. He is the anointed one, the Messiah. And we need to believe that, and not only believe it, but we need to testify to that, to give witness. And it's not always easy for us to do. I was thinking about how I might testify to this fact, this reality of our faith with my family and friends. I was thinking about like when we do our gift exchange, when I was younger, probably even in seminary, we'd always start with a prayer. And I think it's a good thing to do is to thank God for Jesus on Christmas morning. It's probably good also for us as we leave our workplaces to make sure that people know that we are thinking about them or asking them, is there something for which or about which they would like us to pray? There are simple things that we can do to testify that Christ is the reason for this time of Advent, the time for Christmas. We are invited not only to listen to John the Baptist these last 2 weekends, but to also be like him. He was out in the desert, probably a little crazy, but he had the courage to speak about Jesus. He had the courage to point to him so that others might follow. And we are invited to do the same. It says, John was sent from God. He came for testimony, to testify to the light, so that all might believe through him. He was not the light, but came to testify to the light. And may we continue to be encouraged and inspired to do the same. For we are the ones through whom Jesus comes, here and now, today.